Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Just a Girl and Her Knitting. My name is Heather, and it is November 1st, 2024. Yesterday was Halloween, so if you guys celebrate Halloween, happy Halloween yesterday. And for those who are excited that November's upon us, that means we're getting closer to Christmas. Yay! I guess. I haven't decided yet how much Christmas knitting I'm going to do, so I have that little bit of stress on me, but that's okay. I'll figure it out. It's November. I usually start in October-ish for Christmas knitting, but we will see what happens and what I decide to do in the next couple of months. I'm coming to you from the Inland Northwest, from Washington State, Spokane Valley. It is cold here. It is morning. It's, what time is it? 5:48 in the morning. I got up, did all my stuff, so I thought I'd come sit down and talk to you. I know it's officially winter fall time, and I have all of my hand knits packed away. All of my shawls, my hats, my cowls. I have one hat out. And technically I have one shawl out, but I need to wash it. But everything's all packed away, so this year I'm not wearing any hand knits anywhere I go, except for my socks. I do have hand knit socks on today though. So I guess let's just get started, jump right in, get started. You guys can find me on Instagram and Ravelry. I will link those all below. Anything else I wanted to say? I don't think so. I think we're ready to just get started. So we have always socks. I don't know that there's ever going to be a video where there's no socks that are completed. I don't know, we'll see one of these days, but that's what the bulk of everything is. I have socks, some sock tubes cranked, 2 sweaters, and a hat. They are small. Then I have all my whips. So I guess let's just get right on in there. We'll start with my sock tubes. I got an order for a cranking service, and so I was sent this hedgehog fibers in the Dreamy Club 2022 for September, and it's super pretty yarn. So here's the tubes. There are 40 row hung hem. I've never done 40 rows. I always do 30. Split in half. So there's 2. They're exactly the same amount of rows. So there's those ones. And then we saved 10 grams. That's what the customer wanted, was to save back 10 grams, guessing for the heels. So one thing you can do with these sock tubes is, if you know where, like how long you need the foot, you can, or how long your toe is going to be, let me do it on this one, you can rip back and then knit your toe and then add your heel in. So here's another one. This one's out of Emma's yarn in, crazy beautiful color. 10 grams reserved again. 40 round hung hem. Crank the tube. I forgot to put in my ripcord, so after the video I have to go in and unpick the right here on the waist yarn. Usually I put in ripcord and I can just pull it and separate them. I missed that step. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I was just excited to get this back on the machine. These are all cranked. These ones are cranked on my 64 cylinder, my circular sock knitting machine, which is right here. And this is my 64 cylinder. Oops, wrong way. And there's my ribber. Maybe that's what I'll try to work on, is figuring out my ribber. I say that every time and we don't get it done, but I officially put my 64 cylinder back on. So we'll see. We'll see what I play around with in the next coming days, weeks, months. I would like to learn. I just have my giant jug of water because it's all I seem to drink lately. occasionally I drink tea, but alrighty. So to move over to the sock train, onto the sock train we go. I have some finished socks for my husband. These are going in his Advent socks. So this is Knit Circus yarns. This is Deep Stash. So Knit Circus yarns in their Greatest of Ease base. It's an 80% superwash, 20% nylon, 400 yards for 100 grams. And this colorway is not my gumdrop buttons in a speckle. This is a Shrek reference from Gingy in the very end when they're going to the castle. He says, not my gumdrop buttons. So cranked on my machine, 30 round hung hem at the top. Here, I don't think I need both of them up, do I? 30 round hung hem, 80 rounds for the leg, a deep heel with just 2 stitches picked up on each side, 90 for the foot, and a short row toe. And there would be 2. I originally bought this for me, and then I have so many pairs of socks. He's gonna have so many pairs of socks now too. But I was going through and trying to find socks that would be, or yarns that were easily accessed, and yarns that he doesn't care what he wears. But so that was one that I was able to grab from upstairs. Now that I've moved, well, I've had a lot of my yarn upstairs in our living room, but now that it's officially out of this room, I have to just reach in bins because I just threw it all back in. I used to have it all organized. Maybe that's something else I'll work on. I used to have it organized by, in the living room. We live in a very old house, and there's this random closet in the living room. I think it was a coat closet maybe at one point. A lot of people in the neighborhood, because all of our houses are pretty much the same, they use it as a pantry or storage for their kitchen because their kitchens aren't very big with a lot of cabinet space. We had ours redone completely and reconfigured it with tons of cabinet space, so I have room for all my dishes, most of my dishes, my pots and pans, things like that. A lot of them are stored out in the garage because I have a lot, but anyways, so I have this closet. It doesn't have a door. My husband redid it. He lined it with cedar, put in really nice shelves, but it's got 4 shelves in it, I think 4 or 5. So the very top is my fiber, and then I have baskets, and I had them all organized by like cotton, fingering weight, DK, worsted, all of that stuff, and I've since just thrown everything in there. Maybe I should go through and reorganize and put them all back to the way they were. That might be a weekend thing. If I'm not in the mood to knit, maybe that's what I'll do. That's a good idea. We'll blame it on nesting, since, you know. So my next pair of socks are these ones. You might recognize the yarn. It's Weirdsisterswool Emporium on their Carol base, and it's Shark Week. I knit Dill a flax sweater out of the DK weight, and this is a fingering weight, so it's super pretty. Their dye is very consistent throughout their whole skein, so you can see they did a really good job, whereas on my other one, you can kind of see, so there's sock 1 and then sock 2. The speckles are, yeah, you can kind of tell the difference between it. But so these are cranked on my circular sock knitting machine. Again, the big difference is this had 463 yards, so I was able to get a longer foot. I've been writing down how many things I do. So 30 round hung hem, 90 rows for the leg, a deep row heel, or a short row deep heel, 95 stitches for the foot, and then a short row toe. I did more rows on the foot on this one because this is just a tiny bit thicker than the other one, even though they're both, so this one's a 75-25 and this is an 80-20. So with an 80-20, I do 90 rounds for the foot. On a 75-25, because it seems to be a little bit thicker, I do 95. Okay, so that's 2 pairs. And then we have another pair. So this yarn I had caked up because I had started using it for a test knit for Nancy of Knit Sip Happy, and oops, I almost snagged myself, and it wasn't working. I was going to use this for, what was the name of the pattern? I just finished them. Missing Mojo socks. That's what they were. And you couldn't see the pattern because the Missing Mojo socks had like a slip stitch going down them. But I thought this would be good for it, but it didn't work. So instead, I went ahead and cranked them. My circular sock knitting machine. I was really hoping for micro striping like it did here when I was hand knitting, and it wasn't doing that. So it was already coned up or caked up, so I just put it on my cones and I cranked it. So this is knitted with, I think it's a 75-25. I'm not sure of the colorway, and I can't find it anywhere on Ravelry. It was in a bargain bin when we were on vacation, so I do love a great bargain. I think I paid $20 for it. It's a great yarn. Really like it. It's very sturdy. So for this pair, same thing. 30 round hung hem. I did do a pop of color. So what I do when I do a pop of color is I crank. Let's see if I can get it. I crank. I start with this color and I crank 20 rounds. And then I add the main color and I crank 10 rounds to give it just that little pop, so the inside is going to be red. Because I did the pop of color, that gives me 20 extra rounds, meaning I can do a 110 row leg, deep heel, 94 rows on this foot. I crank 1 round to make 95 with this color and then do the short row toe. So it's a thicker yarn. I'm figuring that out now, that the thicker the yarn, the more feet rows I need. I still crank at the exact same tension. This one was a little harder. I was struggling with the heel and the toe. Mostly the heels because of the thickness. Same with the blue ones. I was struggling a little bit with the heels because it was thicker, but we got them. So here is this pair. So I counted the socks. I recounted the socks. They're all in my bin down here. I have a big old tote down here of all the socks that for my husband's Advent socks for this year. I have all 24 pairs knit or cranked. All of them. I finished 3 on my machine. And then, because I was determined, I was hell-bent on having these other 2 pair of socks done, I hunkered down. I did it. I worked on them pretty exclusively during my day. So break time and stuff during work. So the first pair that I got done, this is the Cozy Knitter Advent for 2024. I have a matching pair. I already got mine. I got mine last year at Advent because this is the pair I knit and finish for Christmas for me. The other pair, I usually do a Woolens and Nosh and a Freckled Whimsy. I did not do Freckled Whimsy this year. I did do Woolens and Nosh, but the Woolens and Nosh I don't typically finish on. I usually have them finished for the next day, but this is the pair that I finish 100%. I keep shaking my camera or my desk. I finish 100% for me, and then he gets a pair of socks from the leftovers. So what I did with these is I cranked the tube, so the 24 colors, on my circular sock knitting machine. It's right there. I did on the 64 cylinder, and then I added a 10 row 2x2 rib, and then I do the toe, and then I measure and cut in. When it's knit at 64 stitches, I did loosen the tension on these though, and I get about a I get the tension of a sock knit on a 1.5 millimeter needle. His heels go in at 9, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so there's 9 colors, and then his heel goes right in the middle, and then the rest of the colors go down. For me, it's 12, exactly 12 colors. I can put in my heel, then at my toe, or my foot, and then my toe. So it's 12 and 12. For him, it's 9. There was a couple of years, I bought the backlog. She died 17, 18, 19, 18, 19, 20. I'm not exactly sure, but the Cozy Knitter went ahead and re-dyed from the very beginning of this Advent scheme for people if they wanted to buy them. I ended up buying all of them, and I had cranked his on the 72 cylinder, so they came out short socks. So instead, I just put these on the 64 cylinder, loosened the tension just a little bit, and then cranked out a tube, added heels, toes, and cuffs. That is a perk to my circular sock knitting machine. That's essentially what the person who bought those sock tubes are going to do. So they're going to add their toe and their heel. They already have their cuff because I cranked it. So my last pair for him, we got 5 pairs. I knit him 5 pairs this month. Technically I used my machine, but I still did some finishing. I have to Kitchener the toes on all of them. Some people hate it. Now that I figured it out, I don't mind it. I used to not Kitchener. Whenever I would do toes on socks, I would 3 needle bind off, because I could not grasp how to Kitchener something together. And then there was a pair of socks that I wanted to knit for years. It was the skew socks. You can find it on knitty.com, and there's Kitchener in them on the heel. And I was like, with 3 needle bend up, it's not going to work. So I finally sat down and figured out how to Kitchener so I could knit those socks. And now I Kitchener 32 stitches together, or 36 stitches together when I finish a sock on the sock tube. Now it's nothing on the sock machine. So my last pair for him, this would be Woolens and Nosh in their 2020. I always say 2024. This is 2024. It's the 2023 Advent schemes, because my 2024 are sitting upstairs for Woolen and Nosh. So I have the same thing, but hers is a 90-10. 90% Targhee, 10% nylon. So it's a tad bit thicker, but super warm. Wears great. So cranked the tube on my machine, 10 row 2x2 rib, toe, cut in for the heel. I was running out of yarn here, so I grabbed another yarn. This contrast yarn that I used is a yarn I used for my Missing Mojo socks, and then this is the contrast I used for the Missing Mojo socks. So I had them ready to go. I used all but like half a gram of this green, maybe a gram if you count both balls, but I have no more of this left. That was a great feeling because I'm trying to work through my stash. Where am I going? So here's another pair for him. So this is officially 24, and then I will knit his Woolen and Nosh DK socks for his Christmas socks, and that makes 25. So I get to officially start putting together his Advent socks. I just got brown paper bags with some numbers on them, some stickers. I have to go to the big box store today. I might see if I can't find like a stamp or something for like a wreath. We'll see. I'm not sure. So another pair of socks that I finished. These were also a sock tube. And I know I said I didn't need any more socks, but I think this year going forward, when I do get knitting time, I'm going to focus on knitting socks for others because I don't need them. I won't wear them all. My socks go into rotation, as does his, but I did knit this pair for me because while the people I knit socks for are my favorite people, they're not quite cashmere people yet. So my mother-in-law is allergic to wool, so she doesn't get wool cashmere socks. The niece, I don't think she's ready. She doesn't take, like, well, I won't say she doesn't take care of them. She doesn't wash them. Her stepmom does, and I don't want her stepmom to have to worry about it. Same with giving them to her stepmom. I'm not gonna. My daughter, same thing. I typically wash her socks, but every once in a while a pair of socks get in the wash. I don't want them ruined. So I'll keep the cashmere for myself. So this is Alexandria, The Art of Yarn, in my guilty pleasure. It's an 80-10-10, so 80% wool, 10% nylon, 10% cashmere. I use my leftovers from the Cozy Knitter Advent skeins. I buy 3. I can do my heels, toes, and cuffs with 1. My husband uses about 1.5, and then I have 1.5 left. Is that it? No, that math didn't math. I usually have half skein. I don't know, I had plenty. I still have some left over. So these were cranked on my circular sock knitting machine. Something I did different, I cranked it on the 72 cylinder with the heel spring engaged because I wanted to see if that would be better for a more luxurious sock yarn. And this was left over from my second pair of Tits Up socks. So I originally tried knitting the first version Tits Up in this color, and they weren't showing the little boobs. And so when the second pattern came out, the sequel, I used this yarn. Almost positive. But here's another example of the dyeing on yarns, how sometimes it can be a little different throughout the skein. So, there we go. So you can see the difference. And it's just the way they're dyed. So it's one skein, but the way the dyer dyes it, it does this. Sometimes people will, so when typically if I know the skein is going to be different, I knit, then I reball and I pull from the other direction to give them the difference, because I kind of like that. Everything doesn't have to be perfectly matched in my world, especially when it comes to knitting and socks. How many people are going to see your socks? I work from home. Nobody sees my socks. When I do go out, I have shoes on or boots on. You're not going to see them. Who cares? They don't have to match at all. I mean, when I put them on the internet, people will see them, but is that big of a deal? Do I have this down here? I don't. I do. I don't. Nope, I don't. I don't think I do. So I test knit a pair of socks for Nancy. Knit Sip Happy, Nancy Wheeler. And here they are. So they're very fall. They give me fall vibes. They give everybody fall vibes. So there are times when Nancy's patterns look amazing in self-striping yarn. And this is one of those times. And so I wanted to do something different. So I decided to grab yarn from my mother-in-law. This is a Barocco sock. I don't know where my yarn is. So this is what the label looks like. It's a Barocco sock. It's a 50% nylon, 50% acrylic, since we all know she's allergic. But so it's this tiny little 1x1 cable with these twisted stitches going up the side, and then on the back there is a twisted stitch going down the middle. These are called Fjord socks. They are the fingering weight version to her DK weight. So she knit a pair of she designed this in DK last year, and then she decided to update the pattern with a fingering weight version. So how fun are those? I'm really digging the colors. The colors are very fall. So I knit a shorty-ish pair for my mother-in-law. She doesn't wear super long socks. So 15 rows for the cuff. The leg, I did 20. How many did I do? 8 repeats. It's a 4-row repeat. I did a fish lips kiss heel. Why don't I show you the one on the blocker? That would be easier. Fish lips kiss heel, knit the foot, and then the rounded toe in Nancy's pattern. The short row heels fit my mother-in-law better than the heel flap and gusset. So I did that for her. When I link it on Ravelry, I will, or when I put it on Ravelry, I'll put the colorway in. Barocco does weird color numbers. They don't do colors, but if you're in the market for an inexpensive non-wool sock yarn, I recommend Barocco. I can get it at my local yarn store, Paradise Fibers, for like $8 a ball. So, which Paradise Fibers is officially back open, y'all. I haven't been, but after their fire, they were closed for quite a few months. So, I haven't been up there. Maybe one day I will. We also have a new yarn store that opened up in our area. I live in the middle of Spokane and the Idaho border, so Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene. And I know I've talked about this before. I'm 20 minutes from Coeur d'Alene. I'm 20 minutes from downtown Spokane. So my location. Well, in my location, basically, if you just literally go up the hill behind me, you have to go around a little bit, but there's a little area called Green Bluff. And it's where there's orchards and farms, and it's beautiful. They do a lot of weddings. They have cider places that they make ciders and beers, and you pick apples and peaches, cherries, vegetables in the summer, all kinds of stuff. Well, they opened up a yarn store up in Green Bluff, and I think it's called the Apple Barn or Apple Barn Yarns or something. I haven't been up there yet, but I really want to go. I just haven't had time. But so it's just up the hill from me. I wouldn't say it's any closer to Paradise Fibers or the Hook and Needle Nook, which are technically closer, but they're on the other side of Spokane. When I go, I have to have a reason to go up there because I don't like driving in Spokane traffic. I don't like getting on the freeway if I can avoid it. And there's not really an easy way to get from where I live there. My husband knows the way, I don't. So I usually just take the freeway because, you know, that's easier for me. But he is born and raised in Spokane Valley, so he knows all the little secrets. I don't. All right, let's move on to the next finished object, since I've rambled enough about nothing. I don't even know where I was going. Oh, because we have a new yarn store technically closer to me. That my spinning group does spinning on Saturdays at the Big Red Barn up in Green Bluff, which is a brewery. That's where I was going with all that. So it's not that far, but we have a tiny little Flax light that I finished. So this one is knit out of Hypnotic Yarns in the Mermazing colorway. It's fingering weight. This is from last year's subscription, 2023, maybe 2022. I don't know, I'd have to look at the tag. I don't even know where the tag is. Probably upstairs in my bag that I need to clean out. But I got it finished. So I did the 0 to 6 month size and the yarn is an 80-20, so some 80% superwash, 20% nylon. And I did short sleeves because I figured she'll be able to wear it come springtime. It is still technically cold here in the spring. We don't warm up until June usually, but isn't it adorable? So cute. So this will be for Baby Button. I got it all finished. I knit it on so I used a US 2 for the ribbing and then a US 5 for the body. Those I know are upstairs because I was going to clean out my bags so that I could put all my needles where they go. So my next finished object is a test knit. I know I said I wasn't going to test knit anything. Socks are different. I can knit those so fast. But I found this website called Yarn Pond, YARNPOND.com. And they have an Instagram, so follow them on Instagram if you're interested in test knitting. But it's a place where people just post test knits that they have that are open. And I'm all on board for test knitting. I'm not test knitting anything large, so no human-sized, adult-sized sweaters or anything like that. But that doesn't mean I can't test knit a baby sweater. So this is the Elba baby sweater. It is a colorwork yoke and then a plain body. It is quite possibly the cutest thing in the world. I test knit the preemie size because somebody I know is not going to be a very big baby, so she should be able to wear it. I'm gonna try to get some of the information for the designer because it's not a designer that I have ever test knit for. So I'm getting out my trusty handy dandy iPad. I forgot where I was going with that. So the Elba sweater by Minnow Knits Design. I'll write it down. But it's a super cute little baby sweater. And I use stash, so we'll talk about the sweater a little bit. It's kind of hard to display it. So it's a top down circular yoke. So I knit the ribbing on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles, and then when I went to do the color work I switched to a US 4. In the pattern, it calls for a 3 or whatever you get gauge on. For me, I know I knit my color work tight, so I went up to a 4. I also knit my color work inside out. So when this is on my needles, the right side is inside and then the wrong side is out, and that way I can keep my floats nice and, you know, there's room. They're not super tight. I've never done 3-color color work before. Not a super huge fan, but in this little sweater, it's worth it. It's because it's so small, but there's this little flower design. You were supposed to put it on the bottoms. I tried and I struggled, so I just ripped it out and just did plain sleeves. Plus I worry about the little fingers getting caught in the floats on the sweater ends. And then the body and the sleeves are knit on US 3 and then a US 1 for the ribbing. I need to trim some of my ends, but I'll show you my floats. So there's my little floats on my little baby sweater. So this will also be for Baby Button. She's gonna have one heck of a lovely little hand knit wardrobe by the time she's born. So super cute. And I used all stash yarn. So this is Cascade 220 or Cascade Heritage Sock, another great sock yarn. Super soft. It's very inexpensive. It's like 10 or 11 US dollars. My local yarn stores stock a lot of it. The Cascade owner comes and does yarn tastings every year at our local yarn stores. But so this gray is Cascade Heritage Sock. The contrast one, so the white-ish color, is Mandy's making in a share repair kit, and same with the pink. I had only like 9 grams of this. No, maybe not even 10 grams, not very much. 7 grams. I ended with 2, so I almost ran out. Well, I didn't almost run out. I had exactly enough. I had exactly enough to knit this pattern plus the color work on the sleeves, but I omitted that. So, isn't it adorable though? It's so cute. So hopefully when she's born, she gets to wear this. I think we're gonna put her in it from coming home from the hospital, because it'll be cold. It'll be December, January, February, one of those 3. So because I had yarn left over, I was feeling rambunctious. I went ahead and loosened the tension on my sock knitting machine, and I went ahead and I cranked a tube, essentially, with the leftover yarn. So this is the Cascade sock, Heritage Sock. This is the contrast from the Mandy's making, and then this is the other contrast. I knit chicken socks out of these. This is what I used for my hen socks that I test knit. So this is 60 rounds, 4 rounds, 60 rounds. And then I picked up and did my decreases for the top. And then I picked up and did my decreases for the other side. So she's gonna have a matching little hat. Let me put it back together. So it is a modified musselburgh hat, because I think in the pattern it calls for like a few more stitches for the hat, but I mean, it's for a newborn. It shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be, keyword. I don't think her head's gonna be that big. Might be, her dad has a big head, but so a tiny little musselburgh hat. And it can be reversed, so I can switch. Obviously, I can do this on the outside and this on the inside for the fold up. But there we go. That's all my finished objects. Quite a bit of socks, as usual. couple baby things and a hat. So I guess we can jump right on into whips. So I have two primary whips. The one I started yesterday because I didn't have any knitting at my desk and I needed something to do. So I guess let's start there. So the first whip is a pair of socks. I think I'm going to give these to my husband. He likes this yarn brand. This is Regia Perfect. My tag has seen better days. It is destroyed. Regia Perfect in the color 07092. I'm trying to see. It's probably on the front. And this is I think it's a 75/25. Yeah, it's a 75/25. And these are fun because you get matching socks. So the anniversary socks I knit my husband last month were perfect. I'm trying to find out if I've used up all my perfect, but I'm not 100% sure. This might be my last ball. So it starts with yellow. The yellow's on the inside. But it starts with yellow. That's where you start. You knit your sock. Add in a short row heel. Shaking the camera again. And then you have wham bam, you have a sock. So I started the cuff. I did 20 rounds. I put in my marker, knit 20 rounds for the leg. And then I'm still on the leg. So I'll knit this until I get to the dark pink, and then I'll start the heel. Yeah, nothing to write home about. 64 stitches, US 1.5 millimeter, US 1.5, 2.25 millimeter needles. These are knit on my tiny circulars, on my Chiaogu tiny circs. My favorite ones out there. Smooth joins, just more enjoyable than some of the others, and I've tried them all. What else do I want to say about it? I use markers when I hand knit. So every 20 rounds I do a marker. I know a lot of people will do every 10 rounds. I choose to do 20, especially since I'm knitting them for my husband who wears a size 14. And I have his, is it a sock recipe? What we call it, a recipe, figured out where I know exactly how many rounds I need for the leg and the foot per my needle size. So I will knit, if this goes to the pink when I hope it does, it will be 80 rounds for the foot. I'll do the heel, then it's 80 rounds for the toe, or no, 80 rounds for the leg, heel, 80 rounds for the foot. So before the heel and the toe, it's 160 rounds of knitting. So those were started, were they started yesterday? Or they started the day before? I don't remember. But I started them. I needed something to do. I don't like waiting for things to download, because then I get bored. So I tend to, when I'm waiting, I knit a round or a few stitches. So my next project that I'm working on has been moved up to my nighttime knitting, and it was in the car knitting. However, it's too big to take places now, I guess. So I was there last time, and I have added that much. So this is the Love Knot blanket, baby blanket. See if I can pull it up. I decided that editing to upload photos is too hard when I can just upload it to the Instas or to the YouTube. So that's what I'm doing instead. So I decided I would just use my iPad and show you guys what I've been working on. Kat Archer is a designer. And so, if you can see that, it's just a little square blanket with a knit cable border, and you apply the border. So, that's what I'm working on for the baby, for baby button. I'm at 89. You can't really not be in the middle of a row, but I'm at 89 stitches per side. I think I need to get to 125 stitches per side, but that's where we're at now. I put quite a bit of work into it. My yarn, this is Polka Dot Creek. Yes, Polka Dot Creek, because there's Polka Dot Sheep. Polka Dot Sheep is in Canada, Polka Dot Creek is in Whitefish, Montana, in the Hyacinth colorway. And I find it funny because we've been watching Bridgerton. I got my husband started on Bridgerton. I've already seen all of it. And so we started watching it, and this is what I've been knitting on while we're watching Bridgerton. So this is knit on a US size 4 3.5 millimeter needle. I'm using my Chalgu bamboo, just fixed circulars. Not my favorite, but they'll do. These are what I had when I started the blanket close by, so that's what I'm going to use. My last whip, I didn't finish in the 4 weeks. No, not at all. I was going strong. And then I started the brioche. And then it went to hell in a handbasket. So I had to rip it out. I had to rip out the brioche section. I was only like 5 rows in. So it's not like I was that far in to my brioche section. However, I did get frustrated, so I opted to rip it out and do the eyelet section, which eyelets take me forever. I'm not gonna lie, that is something that takes me forever. Plus this is a single ply, and I probably should have this on bamboo needles, but my bamboo needles are there, and I don't know that I have big enough bamboo needles in my, I don't think I have long enough ones. No, I do. I could use my Clover interchangeable set. That would have, I think I have a really long needle. I don't know, I might switch over. We'll see. We'll see how frisky I'm feeling. So I've kind of, this project is kind of now my Friday knitting. So I'm off on Fridays because I work 4/10s, and so after I do all the things I need to do, I sit on my sofa and I knit all day long. I'm not supposed to be doing a lot of stuff anyways, so this is my go-to Friday project. My blanket is my after work project. That's what I work on for a few hours after work because I really want to get it done. This, while I want it done, is not as pressing as the baby blanket. So this is knit out of Life in the Long Grass in their autumn colorway. It's a superwash merino single in the Changing Leaves and Autumn Flame colorways. So this is Autumn Flame, and this is Changing Leaves, and then this is the mohair in the chestnut colorway. You can't see that. There we go. So here I am. This is where I'm at. So I've done my wedges, clue 1. I've done 1 of the eyelet colorway, or eyelet clue. I did 1 set of baubles, which I miscounted my baubles and had to take out the entire this part where you make your bauble. 300 plus stitches, and I had to take it out. I had to take out 2 rows. Frustrated me a little bit, but I'm now, I think I do 1 more garter. I knit back and forth for garter 1 more time, and then I start my eyelets again, bauble, and then I'll be ready to move on to clue 3. So I'm working on clue 2 now, which, like I said, it's not pressing to have it done. I'm greatly enjoying this knit. Very much so. I always enjoy my Stephen West knits, even if there's a million gazillion stitches on the needles. But, yep. So I chose to put my changing leaves, my lighter color, as my main color, and my red as my contrast. And then I'm using, you can kind of see it toned down the red in the eyelet row. So today after doctor's appointments and stuff, I am going to work on this. My baubles don't bauble very well, but that's okay. It's okay, not a big deal. So, you know, I have a million little stitch stoppers, and what do? I just shove them in my yarn balls. What am I doing with myself? And I'm keeping this in my West Knits Mkal bag from last year. I do like this tote bag. This is one that I did not box up. Because when I say I had to box up everything, I boxed up everything. It's all out in my garage. All out in the garage in bins, because we don't have room for a lot of stuff. Now that this room is being turned into a baby's room. So, now my last thing that I want to work on, because I don't have enough things to work on, I've been enjoying the whole sock tube knitting process. I don't think I have any more left. I had all of my sock tubes in my little bag here, and they're all gone. I finished them. I might have 1, maybe 2. When I organize my thing upstairs, I will look and see. Because when I first got my sock knitting machine, I didn't know how to knit actual socks. It's a learning curve. It really is. But what I could do is crank tubes. Once I learned how to knit the socks, then I went back and I ripped out a lot of the tubes and made socks. So I had originally, years ago, signed up for the Lolo Did It Sock Blank Club. I love a good sock blank. I don't know if you guys love sock blanks, but I love sock blanks. I don't know what it is about them, but I adore them. And so I knit a couple pairs of socks for my daughter. I used my original circular sock knitting machine that I got and cranked a few tubes, which I had a 3D printed one from Ashcroft there. I don't know. I might see if I can't figure out if I can still get it to work. I think it'd be a good one to give the niece, if she wanted to do it. If I can figure out how to get it to work like this one. So I had made some socks for my daughter out of the sock blanks. And then after I got my machine, I sat down and I ripped out all the sock blanks and I caked it up. I had these monster cakes. Some of them were double knit, some of them were single knit. And so I caked them up randomly. And then when I got my machine, I went ahead and I sat down and I cranked all of them together. So every single sock blank was cranked as one long tube. So this is probably 10 months of a sock blank club, all cranked up into a wheel of tubes that I'm almost positive is a size bigger than my head. My head's gone. So my plan is, I have the contrast yarn upstairs. It is a marled sock yarn. It was like white and black marled that I overdyed purple. I am going to go get that, and I am going to start adding at least cuffs to all of these, because I don't know that I have enough to do heels, toes, and cuffs, because I only had 200 grams. So we're gonna at least start with cuffs. And so my plan is, and I think I'm gonna start on one end, and then I'm gonna pull this out. I will unravel this so you guys can see it in all of its glory. But I think I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna add a cuff, measure 11 inches, cut it, add a cuff, measure 11 inches, cut it, add a cuff. I'm not worried about the ends unraveling because I can always knit whatever unravels, so that's not a big deal. But I think that's what I'm gonna do. I should probably measure the whole thing first to see how long it is, but I think I'm gonna have to go get one of my husband's actual tape measures, because my knitting ones are not long enough. So I will show you this in its glory. I just shook my table again. So, I don't know what this is. So it's literally just, I just cranked, and then I cranked to the next color. Oopsies. I don't know how to do this the best way. And then cranked and cranked and cranked. And cranked some more. And some more. And you can see where some of them are starting to repeat because they were the double knit sock blanks. But I'm thinking that when I go to measure, they shouldn't line up. That's the hope. I've already knit her a pair of socks out of this part because I had some leftover, so I just went and put it all in these. So this is months of sock blanks on that club. So I'm hoping, because I did it randomly, that as I measure, and I might change how I measure to make sure none of them match. Look at this. It'll be a project that I have for a while. Not in any hurry to have it completed. I mean, if I was, I probably would have started this earlier, not grab it out of the closet today. But yeah, so my daughter, my oldest, wears mismatched socks. And so that's what I thought would be fun with the sock blanks now that I had my machine, is I could always just recone it and knit it on my machine, but I think I want to stick with hand knitting them. It'll give me something to do. Once I cut out, like once I start it and then I separate the tube, it's a great travel project because I'll just be doing cuffs, and then I'll go in and do toes, and then I'll go in and do heels. But I might have to get a new contrast color too. I don't know, we'll see. I mean, they will be mismatched. I guess it doesn't matter. I could use all of my contrasts, all of my random skeins. But so that is my plan. She doesn't wear matching socks. So that was my whole thought process. It would be a fun, crazy sock. Thing for her. She'll be 21 on Sunday. That's kind of scary. Her birthday's Sunday, so I already have socks for her birthday. She gets socks for her birthday every year. My son doesn't because his birthday's in June. But he gets an extra pair of socks in the wintertime for Christmas. So they always get socks for Christmas. And he gets an extra pair where she gets a pair for her birthday and then 2 pairs at Christmas. He gets 3 pairs at Christmas. But, so that is my plan. That is something I'm going to start working on. I think it'll be a good desk project for me while I'm working. I don't think it'll fit in my bag. It might. But this is 64 stitches. I don't remember if I knit them with my heel spring on. I may have. It's a little tight, but she has really narrow feet, so that will be perfect for her. Kind of reminds me, have you guys seen people making the jelly roll blankets? It's a pattern by Kay Jones. It kind of reminds me of that. I'm not a very good sewer, but now my brain is moving. I mean, I guess that would be you can tell when I first started, I had some drop stitches. You can see them, which is fine. I'll just pick them up and knit them. I have one of these Cocoa Knits sock, or not sock, a Cocoa Knits repair stitch fix. It's like a little crochet hook that you just zoop, 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 and fix it, but I will pin it. I will clip them right now. Anyways, back to what I was thinking. So how fun would it be to loosen the gauge on my machine? Maybe knit it on my 72, give you a little bit wider of a sock tube, like my little baby hat that I knit, and then sew them all together. And that would essentially give you like the jelly roll style blanket without actually hand knitting it. Now I'm wondering. Now my brain is thinking, is that something that I want to try? Is that something that I'm willing to sacrifice my yarn for? Crap. I have a whole bunch of yarn. It's out in the garage because I boxed it up, but it's an acrylic blend. It's a wool-like brand, or it's wool-like by Loops and Thread. Got it on sale at Michael's, and I have probably 20 skeins of it. It's acrylic. That would be a good one to do. It's like 600 something yards. That would be a really long tube. It's not a this year project because I can't get to it, but now I'm thinking. Now it has me thinking. We're gonna stick a pin in that, and we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it later. See what I think. But yeah, it's a giant cheese wheel of socks. So I think that's everything that I have this month. trying to think. Blanket, Stephen West, this. I don't think Stephen West will be done this month, which is fine. But I'm going to try to start working on these. These are going in my purse. This I'm going to continue to knit at nighttime. I have to mail those sock tubes. I have a doctor's appointment today. Then I think that's my Friday. Oh, I need to go find a stamp for my husband's socks. I'm gonna recount them one more time, just to make sure I have 24. I might do a video of me putting them to his little sock advents together. Maybe that would be fun. Of course, it would be on like hyper speed because putting that much stuff together is gonna take some time. But yeah, I don't think we have anything planned other than working on our basement. Our deadline's fast approaching. I haven't bought any yarn. I've used some yarn, but I haven't bought any. My subscription hasn't come yet, so, which I have the Yarnable subscription. And ever since the fire, my fiber subscription got the fire at Paradise. My fiber subscription has been on hold, which is fine. I have plenty of fiber, but I think I really want to see if I can get my river to work. It works. I need to figure out how to make it work with me. So that might be something I do. See if I can accomplish that. I'm not sure. But anyways, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. I know there's a lot of socks again. That's just what I knit. That's my favorite. Same with vanilla socks. So whether I'm cranking them or I'm hand knitting them, I do prefer to just knit socks. So I will see you guys next month. I hope you have a great day. Happy November. And stay warm if it's cold in your area. If it's summertime, enjoy the warm weather. But thank you all. Bye.